Okay, y'all, what we're going to do in this recording is look at the structures associated with the freestanding urinary system model here. Again, I already have a couple structures labeled here. We have this large artery here, which would represent the descending or abdominal aorta. And then, of course, this large vein running in this direction, this would represent the inferior vena cava. Okay, so our focus is going to be the urinary structures. Now, a quick note here, the way this image is taken of this model, we're looking posterior, so we're looking from the back forward. So hopefully you can see this little white ridge here. These are the pubic bones, left and the other one is covered, but that means this is the front. This is anterior, this is posterior. So with that, when we talk about our directions, right and left, this is actually going to be the right, and this is going to be the left, okay? Now, straightforwardly enough, we have the right and left kidneys, which are these structures located here and here. So these kind of tan-looking kind of bean structures there and there would be our right and left kidneys, and I'll just put kidney here. Now, sitting on top of these, although not needed to, you don't need to know those per se, these little kind of peach-colored structures, they are the adrenal glands. And as I mentioned in my other video I made today, my pen is broken, so I'm just using my finger, so just bear with me here. Hopefully it's not terrible. Okay, so now, again in class I would show you this, but unfortunately the little muscular tubes that run down, so there's little muscular tubes that run down from the kidney to the urinary bladder. They're little yellow neon colored tubes that run down here, and these would be the ureters. Okay, so I am going to write ureter here just so that you can see the word, but again they would be tubes that would be running down. And again, on this model they should be like again a very bright yellow. It's like neon yellow running down. Okay, we then have the urinary bladder, which is this entire structure here. We do have the bladder open, so you can see the inside, but the whole structure there, urinary bladder. Okay. Now, with the urinary bladder, there's a small tube that exits the urinary bladder, and it's partially blocked, but hopefully if you look in this area here, you'll see a slight peach color. If you can see right there, there's that little peach colored there, and that little peach colored tube there represents the urethra. The urethra is what transports urine out of the urinary bladder to the external environment. Okay, now what we're going to look at here is going to be your urinary bladder structure, and there are 3 urinary bladder structures we ask you to know. That is going to be the trigon, the detrusor muscle, and transitional epithelial. Now, real quickly, if you look at the opening here, probably the easiest structure to see is this white triangle here, okay? So if you look closely, you'll see this white triangular structure, and that white triangular structure is the trigon. Again, the trigon is where the 3 tubes, the right and left ureter, and also the urethra. So you can imagine 1, 2, 3 tubes attached to create this little triangular structure, and that is what we call the trigon. Now, all around this, lining the urinary bladder, you'll see little pockets or little patches. Some of them have the little red, some of them the red has fallen off. But you'll see these little red patches or pockets lining the urinary bladder. And those little patches or pockets, they are called transitional epithelium. And I'm going to change colors to hopefully make it a little easier to read. But transitional epithelium, and again, that's the tissue that forms the lining of our urinary bladder. Epithelium. Okay. Now, probably the most difficult thing to see here is the detrusor muscle. Again, if you look closely, and I know this picture is a little tough, but hopefully if you look closely, here on this outer wall, if you look closely, there's a slight groove, Let me get an arrow to see if I can point to it. So you should see a slight little groove like right here. So there's a little groove running there, right? Now, as you move outside of that groove where that arrow is, or was, that thick band here. So again, if I just do a little bracket, hold on, let me get my pen. If I do a little bracket here, that whole strip right there, that is, so roughly from there to there, again, so running from this bracket to this bracket, you see that thick band outside of the groove, and that's the quick note. It is outside of the groove there, and that is what we call the detrusor muscle. Okay guys, so hopefully that will assist you. So again, we sit there and see, quickly going through them, right and left kidneys here. We have the ureters that would run down, right and left respectively. Descending aorta, inferior vena cava. Here at whole structure here, urinary bladder. The little tube exiting, the urethra. 3 structures at the urinary bladder. White triangular structure, the trigon. The little patches of, or pockets of red, that is our transitional epithelium. And then we have this outer band here representing the detrusor muscle, which is a band of smooth muscle that's involved with contractions to help with urination. All right, hopefully that'll help y'all.